Hey, Adele here, and it is a snow day here in Atlanta, and most people have the day off, hanging out at home with their kids, playing with their cats and dogs, sipping hot tea, and I thought, I think I'm going to put out this broadcast because of something that I just experienced with a client that I think a lot of people might be able to relate to. So, how many of you can relate to this relentless need to figure things out, to figure yourself out, to figure life out, that it's got to somehow make sense in the mind? I can relate because I lived most of my life that way, and our culture is primarily very mental oriented, that if we have a problem, there's got to be a way to figure it out. So let me tell you a story about a client that I had this morning, and maybe you can feel into why this topic is interesting to me. So I have a client, I'll call her Anne. Anne wants to become a coach. She wants to be a coach for women, and she wants to help them with relationships. And usually what people want to coach other people on is what they're interested in themselves. I mean, it's natural. For example, I have had a lifetime struggling with stress, overwhelm, anxiety, that kind of social anxiety sensitivity. And that's what I talk about with clients now. But this woman is very interested in coaching other women on relationships because she has really struggled with relationships herself in her own personal life. And I took a reading of the aura, and I noticed there were several big blind spots. She was talking about men, and she was talking about a string of disappointments she's had in her personal dating life, and that's why, right now she doesn't want to focus on her relationships. In fact, she's going to put dating on the back burner, and she's going to focus on some other things. Groovy. And just because I'm so curious, because it's what I do, I asked her, tell me about why there's a certain aversion, or, it's okay to put things on the back burner, but sometimes there's an avoidance that creeps in. Could you tell me about that? And she said, Adele, if there's one thing I've learned in my dating life, is that men never change. Men never change. That's just the way it is. And I'm looking for the right guy. I said, oh, okay. So if this is a belief you have, that men can never change, and the way the energy was, it was very heavy. Men can never change. They are the problem. Is it possible that is somehow related to this string of relationships that you've had where men have always disappointed you? And we got to talking, and I said, is it possible that there may be a blind spot in the way you view dating? That your energy tends to be very black and white. Things that either are this way or they're that way. Men are either this way or they're that way. And she has already concluded all men, almost every man on the planet is this way. And this way means men don't change. I said, well, if you notice that you keep attracting the same kind of guy, could it be related to this belief that all men are a certain way? So we got to talking, and I said, she said, you're right. I now see that I've had a belief, a blind spot about how men are. And I said, yeah, and you're very quick, and people love to get the ahas. They love to figure things out. I have a blind spot. I thought I had a blind spot. I didn't know till I worked with Adele that all men are this way. I thought all men can't change. I got it. And I said, that's great that you got it. We don't need to talk about it anymore, Adele. I've got it. Let's move on. So this is typical of people who have a sixth and seventh chakra breakthrough. They got it. And they think that's all there is. How many of you can relate to this? You read a book, you get inspiration, you get an idea, I've got it. And it's really exciting. It's very exhilarating. And you might think that's all there is, right? That the solution to solving all your problems is to find these ahas, and then everything is groovy. what I'm trying to say is these chakras are the easiest and fastest to shift. It usually does start up there with an aha. And it's going to take some time before it moves down from the 7th in terms of an aha to a 6th to the 5th. This idea that's coming through now starts to impact the way you perceive, are all men, men can't change. And then it moves down into the 5th chakra in terms of how you talk to men. Because if your if your blind spot has shifted, you're going to start speaking differently. Then it moves into the heart in terms of how you perceive your dating partner. Now that you don't have a sense that all men are, men can't change, you're going to have a different experience, yeah? And then it goes down into the 3rd chakra in terms of what would be a reasonable way to negotiate things with, if men truly, aren't all men can't change, and down to the 2nd, and how I want to relate into the 1st. And pretty soon my entire being is different in dating. That takes time. That's the difference between a big aha, I got it, we can move on, to true impact in your life. We are a culture where everyone is looking for the big aha. We're on a high of spiritual seeking, big breakthroughs, fast breakthroughs, sexy breakthroughs, because you can get those in a 10th of a second. With a teacher or a book, whoa, it's exciting and this is flashing. And there is a tendency to think, I've got it. That's all there is. What else is there? When's the next aha coming? Take a look at the number of people who I might call seminar junkies. They go from hot peak experience to peak experience, this teacher to that teacher, and they're still, things aren't actually changing on the ground, but they think they got it figured out. They just need to XYZ. This is because we're a culture that loves stimulation. We love the ideas of spirit. We love the breakthroughs of spirit. But when your 6 and 7 chakras have an insight, and which is valid, it will take time for it to percolate down from the 6th to the 5th, to the 4th, to 3rd, 2nd, and 1st. Because the lower chakras process slower. They just do. And the lower chakras are where your wisdom really resides. The upper chakras tend to be more about getting information. There's a difference between information and wisdom. For example, I have another client who is having marital issues. And we had a big discussion about what's happening with his wife. A lot of blind spots, and I had to go in there and move some energy. I said, is it possible XYZ, the way you've been seeing things, could mean something different than what you've assigned it? And he said, I got it. Yes, I got it. I got it. I totally get it. Totally get it. Yeah, we're good. Okay, can you feel that excitement of, I figured it out? But the behavior hasn't changed. And so with this insight, a month later, he's still saying things like, I figured out why my wife is a certain way. It's X, Y, and Z. I'm like, great. Hey, David, I love your intuition. Hey, Violette, join me. I'm talking about spiritual junkies today and why we've got an industry of people going from workshop to workshop, reading books, and on the ground is still really hard. The insight is not the problem. We are great at insights. We are poor at bringing it down into the body. And this is the heaviest lifting. It takes the longest. And I'm just going to give you illustrations of what this means so that you get a taste of what I'm seeing from this side. Because it's not a shameful thing. It is natural. But if you notice this is happening, you can sort of catch yourself before charging on and looking for the next insight. So he was telling me all of his wife's problems, and that's why things weren't working. And I said, I'll call him John. I said, John, that's groovy. I'm really glad you're really insightful. And what do you do with all this insight? And he said, well, I tell her. I tell her the reason why she's this way and that way. And I said, how is that working? Well, she gets upset and she needs to see that she has a pattern. Can you see this? I said, great, lovely. I love that you're seeing a pattern. Let me ask you, is it wise to do that? You have all this information. You have all this insight. But the thing that will change your life on the ground is wisdom. Is it wise to be analyzing other people and telling them what their problem is? You may have a lot of information. You may have a lot of data. But in the grand scheme of things, is that wise? So we're moving from a culture that's obsessed with information and insight. I'm more interested in everybody, you, me, and everyone included, and all my clients, moving towards wisdom. Because some of my clients have spent a lot of time getting insights and book learning and going to various workshops, and there's a hunger for more insight. And I am more interested in hooking up, now that you're this camel powerhouse of knowledge, insight, where is your personal integration of the wisdom? Not just sort of, just sort of regurgitated, because you can tell when the information is not embodied. There's not a shift in joy factor, frustration level, productivity, groovier relationships. Not that everything's fixed, but there is a stronger sense of who I am. Otherwise, what is the purpose of all this seeking? Right? Just more seeking? I mean, it's lovely. But as long as people think that the solution is the next transcendental hit, or the next groovy insight that came from a guru, that's not going to get where people secretly want. Wouldn't you agree? On the ground, is it changing anything in the way you feel primarily about yourself? So I'm bringing this back around to these two clients so that you can see this is a very common pattern that I see with a lot of my clients. They want to figure things out. Great. My clients tend to be very smart people. I love it. And there's this idea that I can figure things out and my heart will feel better. Well, what I would encourage is go out and get the insight and then let it percolate. How do you do that? It would be, rather than figuring, it would be sitting. What is the medicine for myself? Not someone else's medicine, but what does this mean for myself? That takes time. That takes taking it out for a spin and trying it on your next dating relationship. Like I was talking to with this woman, men will never change. So I said, Anne, is it possible you have a blind spot? And in fact, if the gentlemen have the same blind spot, women will never change. All women. How would that leave you feeling as a potential date partner? Does that feel magnetic? Does that feel attractive? Probably not, right? Writing off everyone that you know how they are is probably not wise, right? And she had this, I didn't realize I was doing that. I said, yeah. And that could be why you've attracted scores of men that keep doing this, because you assume that's the way they are. Just like the other client I referred to. He's having trouble in his marriage because he thinks he's got his wife figured out and he's going to tell her. And I said, you're pretty intuitive. You guys have been married for 20 some years. But is that wise to do that? This insight that you're pulling down is primarily for yourself. If you need to, throw it at somebody else, would you appreciate someone else doing that to you? And he said no. So we are slowing down the rate of this. This wisdom comes into the energetic field at the speed of light. However, because we are mortal beings in a humanoid body, it takes time to slow that information down, decode it, take it to the sixth, the fifth, the fourth, because each of these power centers will handle the wisdom of light differently. It's not always going to be I got it, woohoo, move on. Try to avoid doing that. When you get an insight, really just state it, digest it, and how does that impact how you are the next time you're out on a date or dealing with your spouse or sitting with yourself? If it hasn't helped you feel better It's just information, right? It hasn't been integrated. It's a nice concept. So this is just what I wanted to share with you today, because I'm seeing this happen with some of my clients that their spiritual work has sent them heavily into the 6th and 7th chakras, which is lovely. Those are the easiest chakras to work with. They're the fastest. They are the most sensitized to the ethereal. And they exist for a reason. They're not there to just give you intuitive hits. They're there for you to pull more information down into the body, to perhaps create a new way of responding to people who piss you off, to challenges. If it doesn't start getting integrated, it's not very useful. You're going to walk around with an encyclopedia of insights, and how's that going to be? So I've got 2 clients, one who was convinced that men can't change. She's sure of it, until I showed her, you got a blind spot here. And then she says, I got it. And I'm like, oh, sweetie, you just started. No, I'm good. I don't want to deal with, this is spiritual bypass. I don't want to deal with the pain of the betrayal of these 5 people. I don't want to look at how perhaps I overlooked at things. I don't want to look at my role in responsibility in co-creating. No, I got it. You see, and until that's gestated, there's no sense of responsibility in what was created. We're just going to do it again. So my job as a medicine woman is to find a way to encourage her. I am so glad you've got your hits. And we've just started, sweetie. This is not about chasing on to the next intuitive hit. So, Violet and David. So the same thing with my other male client who thinks he's got it with his wife. I'm like, great, you just started. How is this insight going to change how you are in relation to her? Not what she should be doing. Yeah? My first client wants to coach women on relationship. She wants to help women with their blind spot. How is that going to work if you don't know how to integrate this wisdom into your own life? You're just going to be preaching, right? Because it's not embodied, and people can feel that. So that's just what came up for me today. I would love to hear your comments around this. When have you taken insights and really been curious about them to see how you can use them in a productive way? Or is it immediately about applying it to somebody else? When is it looking for the next hit, the next guru, the next seminar, the next workshop, the next book? Because it's still not enough. All the insights you need are already here. All these other things that people are doing are different avenues. They are different channels that may help you find a way into integrating. So there's nothing that I'm saying with my clients that's just so shockingly new, but I have a way of doing it, that can stimulate the 6th and 7th chakras, and I can help them integrate it more into actual differences in action, decision making. That's the only place it's useful. So I'm about integration. More is not necessarily better. Don't worry about having it all figured out like information. We are looking for wisdom at this point in history. Wisdom, not information. Okay? So if this sounds groovy, I'd love to hear comments from you below. By the way, this type of work its time has come. If you want to expand on your ability to integrate all this incredible wisdom that you're pulling down, sign up for my Spark event, because it's all about this. I'm not here to teach you more brilliant stuff. I'm more here to help you actually use it to create your own wisdom, your own medicine, especially if you want to be helping people. You need to know what your wisdom is. Okay? So have a wonderful time pulling down the divine and finding your own special sauce so it can be shared with the world. So I'll be posting. Oh, good hearts! Thank you. You know, hey folks, we have a snow day here in Atlanta. I'm stuck in the house, so this is what happens. I had some calls this morning on Zoom with people around the world, and now I'm just yapping. So this is the role of the medicine woman. which is different than just more ephemeral, not ephemeral. I'm here to help you find your wisdom. It takes work. It takes time. Okay. So anyway, what I was going to say, yes, make comments below. I'm going to share a link on if you want to know the path of the medicine woman. Sign up for my Spark event. It's great if you want to move more in the direction of helping people. If you're sick of your job and you're wanting to do something more soul inspired, or if you're wanting to find a way to create more financial abundance doing what you're doing. It's all about wisdom, not information. Okay? Your wisdom, not generic wisdom, which is like a meme on Facebook. Your flavor. Your flavor is the best the world has ever seen. Okay? So, Violette, snow day, yes. Oh, you're in Maryland. Oh, fantastic. Yeah, we have like 4 inches, 3 inches on the ground, and like the whole city shut down. It's really ridiculous. Oh, good. Like I said, I just turn on the phone and I yap. I'm for those of you who want to be leaders. We need your wisdom, not a Facebook meme, not another quote that someone else said, which is lovely. Your wisdom. How are you going to know what that is? Is when you pull it down from the divine. No more aha seeking. More, oh my God, now I know my path. And now I know, in listening to the moment, if I'm in front of a client and the psychic speaking, I know where I'm at. I'm not disappearing. So that's a topic for the next one, because I'm training a lot of healers, if you can't figure it out by yet. I'm very passionate about this. Sign up for Spark. I hope some of you can fly in. We have an early bird ticket price. It's like $47 for the next week. And you can bring a friend for free. So money should not be an object, because I want you guys to get a taste of this more than I can just yap out in Facebook. Yay! Violette, I hope you can make it. And those of you across the pond, oh my God, it'd be so great if you could come. But anyway, I make the offer out to the world. Anyway, I have to go. This is not as well organized of a Facebook Live as some of mine when I knew exactly what I was going to say. So, integration, more wisdom, less information, more you. Okay? This is not about being the most brilliant and profound person on the planet, because when you feel it in your gut, you are profound. Okay? So I've got to go. Oh, God. All right. Rock it out. Thanks. Bye. Thanks for listening, everybody. And I'll check the comments. I just can't read the comments and yap at the same time. So hope you guys liked it. And if you didn't, oh well. Talk to you next time. Bye.